Welcome to Investors Insights. Our topic today is rebound or rally. I've got a lot of data, a lot of things coming at us, trying to grab headlines and get investors' attention. Bobby, talk about where we are this year in relation to the market in the quarter.
Yeah, so after a horrible end to 2018, we had a really strong first quarter. Love to see that. No guarantees, of course, never guarantees, but an interesting fact is 9 out of the past 10 times the S&P 500 was up at least 10% in the first quarter. 9 out of 10 times the rest of the year was positive. Again, no guarantees, but we like the historical significance of that. Yeah. A lot of clients are asking, well, what drove the market performance in the first quarter? A lot of it was oil prices bounced back. You had fourth quarter corporate earnings come in a lot better than expected. Then also China took steps to stimulate their economy, and then also the Fed paused. Mm-hmm. So again, we want to see if these things continue into a strong second quarter.
Right. Well, as we like to say, to understand the future, you have to know your history.
Exactly.
It gives you better insight for things that are coming. Mm-hmm. And then Adam, talk a little bit more about some details in regards to the market and where we are.
Yeah, directly to your point, Bobby. The first quarter for 2019, the highest for the S&P in 21 years. Now, before we get head over heels about this, let's remember, we're still not at the highs of last year.
Good point.
So that's a huge point to make. And of course, we had that big drag at the end of the 2018 period, the worst since the Great Depression for December. And for February, we had better retail sales than expected. So we still see a strong consumer out there. So, is this a rebound or is it a rally?
Well, and that's going to be the big debate.
Right.
And with that, we'll have those people go, well, what could cause this market to come down? Mm-hmm. What will continue up? At the same time, we're always looking ahead in terms of trends, business models. Trey, you brought up a good one this morning. Talk about that.
Yeah, trying to look forward at something that may cause this rally to become just a rebound and we don't continue forward is geopolitical risks that isn't really being talked about. I think on this vlog, we've talked for the last few years about the crisis in Venezuela, but no, it really hadn't had any kind of impact. So why now? Why could it possibly have impact? Well, Russia landed troops in Venezuela last week for the first time. I feel like it's the first time that Russia has put real boots on the ground since the Cuban Missile Crisis. I'm not saying we're in the middle of a Cuban Missile Crisis, but that's showing that there is direct fighting between two large powers, Russia supporting one leader, the U.S. supporting another. That's kind of the first time we've seen global disagreement on this crisis right south of our border. And it may be something that starts getting headlines, not now, but in a few weeks. If this starts to escalate, that could push down some of the euphoria on the global growth rebound that Bobby and Adam were talking about.
Yeah, and that's not the first time that's happened. I mean, you mentioned about Castro. Mm-hmm. I mean, we always say it's a smaller company that caused the bigger crisis because the superpowers get involved. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to watch that very closely. Right. And then Ashley, talk about a couple of trends there in the future as well that you...
Oh, of course. And like Greg talks all the time about business models being disrupted, we saw one last Tuesday in that for the very first time in the United States, there was an FAA-sanctioned drone flight, commercial drone flight, for commercial revenue producing purposes. We've seen 2, 3, 4 of those outside the United States, but there was a flight from one hospital building in Raleigh, North Carolina to another carrying blood samples for pay. Yeah. So that's going to be very interesting. You almost kind of wonder if it's going to be sort of a Wright Brothers moment for later.
When was the first time a drone made money?
Exactly, and it was last Tuesday in Raleigh, North Carolina. That's one. And secondly, kind of rewinding a little bit, on Keystone Pipeline, the federal government, kind of very quietly, but we want to tell you about it on Friday, pretty much permitted the Keystone Pipeline from any other federal environmental influence. So there's one small state Supreme Court test in Nebraska. That's about it. Yeah. So that pipeline is going to be huge for energy in the United States. Pipeline, as you remember, runs from Alberta down into Nebraska.
Right.
And could start construction as late as this year or probably early next year.
So not only for energy, but for jobs,
infrastructure,
right. I mean, the
steel and all that.
A lot of money going to be spent on that thing.
Yeah, very much so. So these are trends that we're watching, information that we're keeping up with. We hope that you have a great week. We hope this information's been beneficial, and we really appreciate those of you that are forwarding it to your other professionals that you work with. I had a client the other day forward it to their CPA and really appreciate that. So thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to share it with friends and colleagues and others in your life. We hope you have a great week. It's not going to be dull. And keep in mind, it's April Fool's Day, and we didn't pull any April Fools on you. All this information is valuable and can be used. Take care. Talk to you soon.